My divorce lawyer left a voicemail. Don't go home. Your ex hired someone to remove obstacles to custody. I was in the park with my son, Jasper, my 6-year-old. He shrieked with laughter and pumped his legs, trying to get the swing to go all the way over the top bar. It was 4:15 p.m. on a Tuesday. The park was almost empty, just us and a few pigeons scavenging for popcorn. This was our routine. School, snack, park. This was the one piece of normal I had managed to keep for him. For us, the divorce was, well, awful doesn't cover it. My ex-husband, Devlin, was a man who didn't just dislike losing. He saw it as a personal impossibility, like gravity suddenly reversing just for him. And in his mind, me leaving him, and worse, me getting temporary custody of Jasper, was the ultimate loss. He was wealthy. He was controlling. And for the last 8 months, he'd used every dollar and every connection he had to make my life a living hell. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, expecting a spam text or a grocery reminder. It was a missed call from Sutton, my lawyer. My stomach instantly tightened. Sutton never called this late unless it was bad. I tapped the notification. Voicemail. I held the phone to my ear, turning away from Jasper. Alara, call me. It's urgent. Sutton's voice was tight. All business, but clipped, faster than usual. I got a tip from the PI. Don't go home. Your ex hired someone to remove obstacles to custody. I'm not kidding. Call me. The world tilted. The sound of the swing chains, Jasper's laughter, the distant traffic. It all faded into a high-pitched ringing in my ears. Remove obstacles. I was the obstacle. My blood felt like it turned to ice water in my veins. I spun around. Jasper was still swinging, oblivious, safe. Jasper! Time to go, now! My voice came out sharp, cracked with a panic I couldn't hide. He immediately stopped, his face falling. But you said one more. Now, Jasper. Get your bag. I didn't wait. I ran to him, grabbed his little Spider-Man backpack from the ground, and snatched his hand, half dragging him across the wood chips. Mom, you're hurting me, he yelped. I'm sorry, sweetie, we have to go, fast. We got to my car, a 5-year-old Honda. I fumbled with the keys, my hands shaking so badly I dropped them on the pavement. Damn it. I scooped them up, jammed the key in the door, and threw Jasper into his booster seat. I didn't even bother with the buckle. I jumped into the driver's side and hit the locks. The thunk of the mechanism echoed in the small car. Only then did I dial Sutton. She picked up on the first ring. Alara, are you home? No, I'm in the car with Jasper. We're at the park. What is going on? Okay, good, stay calm. Are you driving? Not yet. Sutton, you said remove obstacles. What does that mean? Tell me exactly what you heard. I could hear her take a deep breath, like she was steadying herself to say the words out loud. Marcus Webb, the PI I hired? I sent him to track Devlin's assets. We needed to find those offshore accounts before the next hearing. Okay. He tracked Devlin to the marina this morning. Devlin was meeting someone. Webb assumed it was an offshore banker, a financial fixer. He got close? I asked, my voice trembling. Better. He was 200 yards away in his van. He used a parabolic mic, a long-range listening device. He was recording, hoping to get audio of Devlin discussing shell companies, anything we could use in court. I waited. Jasper was whimpering in the back. Mom, I want to go home. I'm hungry. Sutton, just tell me. He got the audio, Alara. But it wasn't about money. Webb just played it for me. He's on his way to my office. It's Devlin. His voice. And he says, I don't care how. She's the only obstacle. I want her removed. My hand flew to my mouth. I couldn't breathe. Removed. Not dealt with. Not handled. Removed. Oh my God. I whispered. The PI recorded the whole thing, Sutton continued. Her voice all steel now. The other man's name. They mentioned a name, Cale. Does that mean anything to you? No, nothing. Who is he? We don't know. But he's the one Devlin hired. Listen to me, Alara. You cannot go home. The house isn't safe. Where do I go? The police. Yes, but not your local station. What? Why not? Devlin has connections in your local department. Admin friends. People he's donated money to at the Police Benevolent Fund. I don't want this report getting lost or worse, tipped off. My head was spinning. This wasn't just a threat. This was a plan. Go to the main precinct downtown, Sutton commanded. Dempton, Maine. I want you to ask for Detective Hollis. Major crimes. Major crimes? Sudden, isn't that? Yes, that's for murder. And that's what we're stopping. I'm calling him right now. I'm sending him the audio file. He'll be waiting for you. The audio. Is it enough? Will they arrest him? There was a heavy pause. It's clear enough to identify Devlin, and the phrase permanent removal is in there. But there's background noise. Wind, seagulls from the marina. A defense lawyer would say it's debatable, that it's not what it sounds like. She was right. Devlin would just lie. He'd say they were talking about removing a boat from storage or some other nonsense. It's not enough to convict him, is it? I said, the horrible realization dawning. No, Sutton said, her voice grim. Not alone. Not for a man with his lawyers. That's why Hollis needs to hear it. This is a credible threat. They will take it seriously. Go now, Ilara. Drive straight there. Don't stop. I'll meet you at the precinct. I hung up. I looked in the rearview mirror. Jasper was crying silently, his face streaked with tears, confused and scared by my panic. I put the car in drive, my foot trembling on the accelerator. It's okay, baby, I said, my voice a hollow whisper. Mommy's just... We're going on an adventure. I pulled out of the park, checking every car behind me, my heart hammering against my ribs. Sutton's words echoed in my head. Don't go home. I had a terrible, sinking feeling I would never truly be home again. The downtown precinct was a blur of noise and harsh fluorescent lights. Jasper, sensing my terror, had finally gone quiet. He just clutched my hand, his knuckles white. A uniformed officer pointed us toward a waiting area, but Sutton was already there, pacing by the reception desk. She saw us and rushed over, her face pale. He's waiting for us, she said, and steered us down a hallway, away from the public chaos. We were put in a small, windowless room with a metal table and 4 chairs. A different officer, a woman with a kind face, came in with a small box of crayons and some paper. She smiled at Jasper. Hey there, partner. Want to draw me a picture while your mom talks to the detective? Jasper just nodded, taking the crayons with a shaky hand. A minute later, the door opened again. Detective Hollis wasn't what I expected. He was in his mid-40s, wearing a rumpled suit and looked like he hadn't slept in 2 days. But his eyes were sharp and they missed nothing. Ma'am, Ms. Vance, he said, nodding to Sutton. I'm Detective Hollis. I've listened to the audio. He sat down opposite me. I'm going to be direct. Has your husband ever been physically violent with you? I shook my head. No, not ever. He's a controller. Financial abuse, psychological. He isolates, he threatens. But he's never hit me. I could see the shift in his expression. It was the look I'd gotten before. The messy divorce look. The scorned wife look. He's never threatened to kill you before? Not in so many words, I said, my voice rising. He said he'd ruin me. He said I'd never see Jasper again. He said he'd burn my life to the ground. I didn't think he meant it literally. Sutton put a hand on my arm. Detective, she said, her voice firm. My client is not hysterical. The PI's audio mentioned a name. Kyle. Hollis nodded, turning to the small terminal in the corner of the room. He typed, his fingers moving slowly. Kyle. K-A-E-L? We think so, Sutton said. He tapped the enter key. We waited. He shook his head. Nothing. No priors, no warrants, no driver's license. It's a dead end. Likely an alias. It's not just the name, Sutton pressed. It's the methodology. Remove obstacles. Custody. My PI said the other man. Kyle? He sounded like this was just business. This can't be his first time. That seemed to land with Hollis. He stared at the wall for a second, then turned back to his computer. What were the phrases again? Remove obstacles, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Custody battle. Hollis started typing again, new keywords. I could just make out the screen. Custody battle. Accidental death. Removal. He was quiet for a long time. The only sound was Jasper's crayon scribbling on the paper. 2 flags, Hollis muttered. He picked up his desk phone. Get me Detective Chen. Cold case. Yeah, Maria, it's Hollis. Good. Hey, I'm looking at 2 of your files you flagged for a possible connection. A Bryony Alston from 2021 and a Reed Coleman 2019. Ring a bell? He listened, his pen now flying across a legal pad. Break line. Uh-huh. Sliced clean. Right. And Coleman was a mugging? Efficient, right. Got it. A witness. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that description before. Thanks, Maria, I owe you one. He hung up the phone. The casual, tired look was gone. His face was granite. He looked directly at me. Bryony Alston, he said, his voice flat. Died in 2021. Her car went off an overpass. Looked like an accident until the ME's report. Her brake line was expertly cut. She was in a brutal, drawn-out custody fight with her ex-husband. The case went cold. My stomach clenched. I felt sick. Reed Coleman, Hollis continued, not stopping. 2019. Found in a parking garage. Looked like a mugging gone wrong. Wallet was missing. But the ME noted the injuries were efficient. A single blow, perfectly placed. He had just won full custody of his 2 children 2 days earlier. That case also went cold. How are they connected? Sutton asked, leaning in. Detective Chen is meticulous, Hollis said. In both cases, a witness reported the same thing. For Alston, it was a delivery driver. For Coleman, a homeless man. Both of them saw a calm man in utility clothes hanging around the area for a day or two before the incidents. Never got a good look, never identified. Both witnesses said he just looked like he belonged there. Hollis tapped the printout from Marcus Webb. The PI's notes. The man Devlin met at the marina. Webb's description. Male, white, early 50s. Wearing a gray work shirt and pants. Looked like a utility worker. The room went silent. This isn't a threat, Alara, Hollis said, his voice grim. This is a business transaction. Devlin isn't paying a thug. He's hired a professional. Kyle is a serial remover, I finally broke. A sob tore out of my chest. My son, I choked out, pointing to Jasper, who was now watching me, his eyes wide with fear. Hollis stood up, his chair scraping the floor. He's safe here, he said, his voice suddenly sharp, commanding. You both are. But this just went way above my pay grade. This isn't a domestic dispute. It's not even just major crimes. This is a serial killer for hire. He picked up his phone again. Get me Lieutenant Rains. Now. Lieutenant, it's Hollis. I've got a live one. A conspiracy to commit, but it's tied to at least 2 cold case homicides. Yeah, I'm looping you in now. He hung up and looked at me. The doubt was gone, replaced by a terrifying certainty. Lieutenant Sarah Rains is my CO. She's in charge now. She'll be running this operation. I'll be your contact. We're going to get him, Alara. It was the first time I truly believed anyone would even try. And it terrified me more than anything. The secure room at the precinct felt like a cell. It was just after 10 p.m. on that first, terrible night. Jasper was asleep on a narrow cot, his face still tear-stained. I was sitting in a hard plastic chair, my 3rd cup of styrofoam coffee cold in my hands. Lieutenant Rains came in. She was the opposite of Hollis. Sharp, ironed, and radiating an intensity that left no room for argument. All right, Alara, she said, not bothering with pleasantries. Here's the plan. Kale, or whatever his name is, he's a creature of habit. His MO is targeting the victim's routine. Home car daily route. He's going to come to your house, but I'm not there, I whispered. He doesn't know that. Not yet. We're going to use your house as a trap. My team is setting up surveillance right now. 4 officers, plainclothes, unmarked cars. They'll be watching every angle of your property. You want to lure him there? My blood ran cold. We want to catch him in the act, Rains corrected. Attempted murder is a lot easier to prove than conspiracy when you've got a wealthy ex-husband claiming entrapment. You and your son will stay here tonight. It's the safest place for you. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Bryony Alston's car going over the overpass. I saw Reed Coleman's body in a parking garage. At 7 a.m., Hollis brought me another coffee. Team's in place, he said quietly. They've been there since 4 a.m. Now we just wait. Waiting was its own kind of torture. I tried to play I Spy with Jasper, who was awake now and asking why we couldn't go home. I told him the house had a big leak and a special plumber had to fix it. At 10:17 a.m., Hollis's radio crackled. He put a finger to his lips, listening. His eyes locked on mine. Got him, he whispered. I felt like I was going to be sick. Gray utility van, matching Webb's description, just parked 2 streets over. Male, white, 50s utility uniform? He's on foot. He's approaching the property. Hollis kept the radio volume low, but I could hear the hushed professional voice of the surveillance team leader. Subject is walking the perimeter, calm. Looking at the windows. Checking the side gate. He's casing the house, Hollis explained. Looking for signs of occupancy. Lights, noise, mail. I held my breath. I had forgotten to put a stop on the mail. He's at the mailbox. He's looking at the letters. He's putting them back in. He knew I hadn't been home. He knew. Wait, the radio crackled. He's not leaving. He's walking past the house. He's heading for the driveway. He's looking at the blue Honda. My car. My stomach dropped. Bryony Alston. He's going for the car, Hollis said to Rains, who had just entered the room. Subject is at the vehicle. He just knelt by the front driver's side wheel. He's got a kit. I see tools. He's under the car. He's working on the line. We have visual confirmation. He is actively tampering with the vehicle. Move in, Rains ordered. Take him. Negative, Lieutenant. The voice came back, urgent. He's up. He's looking. I think we're made. He's packing his kit. He's walking. Calmly. He's not running. What? Rains snapped. What happened? He just looked up. Straight at our position. I think Diaz's binocular lens caught the sun. It was just a glint, but he saw it. He's made us. Track him. He's walking, not running. Getting in the van, driving. He's obeying all traffic laws. He's gone. Rains swore. A single sharp word that cut through the silence. Hollis looked at me, his face grim. He's a pro. He wasn't just checking the house. He was checking for us. He's been doing this a long time. He's gone, I whispered, the relief and terror fighting inside me. He's gone. He's not gone, Rains said, her voice like ice. He's just delayed. The house is burned. The car is burned. He knows we're watching. This just got 100 times harder. And 100 times more dangerous, she turned to Hollis. Get them out of here now, secure hotel. 24/7 detail. 2 officers outside their door round the clock. He knows we're here, which means he's going to change his plan. And he's going to tell his client. A new kind of panic set in. Devlin? He'll tell Devlin? Hollis was already gathering our things. We have to assume he did? Which means Devlin knows something is wrong. We were moved an hour later. Room 812 of a downtown Marriott, anonymous and sterile. 2 armed officers sat in chairs by the ice machine. That night, Hollis knocked on the door. We intercepted a ping, he said, holding up a printout. Burner phone to burner phone, 1 word. Complications. Then both phones went dark. So Devlin knows, I said. He knows the job's on hold, Hollis clarified. But he doesn't know why. He doesn't know it was police. He probably thinks Cale got spooked, or that you just weren't home. The next morning, Sutton called. Her voice was fire. He just filed an emergency motion. He's claiming you've abducted Jasper and violated the custody agreement. He's petitioning the judge for an immediate emergency order granting him full custody. My head spun. He knows, I said to Hollis. He knows I'm hiding. He doesn't know from who. He's using the court to smoke me out, to force me to appear. It's a trap, Hollis said. He'll have Cale waiting at the courthouse. No, I said, a cold, hard realization setting in. It's not just a trap. It's a lever. He's found a new way to remove the obstacle. The hotel room, room 812, had become our world. Jasper and I had been there for 3 days. The 2 officers outside the door, Officers Chen and Velez, had become our familiar jailers. They were kind, but their presence was a constant, suffocating reminder of the threat. Jasper was going stir-crazy. I was just going crazy. We're stuck, I said to Hollis, who had come by for our daily and deeply depressing update. We're just stuck. Cale is gone, Hollis said, rubbing his eyes. He looked as tired as I felt. He's not just in the wind, he's a ghost. The van was a rental, paid in cash 200 miles away. The plates were stolen. The burner phone he used to text Devlin is a paperweight. And Devlin? I asked, my voice bitter. He's playing the concerned father to perfection, Hollis spat. Your lawyer is holding off the emergency hearing with everything she's got. But the judge is getting impatient. Devlin is claiming you're unstable and a flight risk. Without Cale, all we have is a garbled audio file that his lawyers will tear to shreds. So he wins, I whispered. He terrorizes me, hires a killer, and when it gets complicated, he just... Wins anyway, using the one system that's supposed to protect me. Not yet, Hollis said, a flicker of something in his eye. We're out of options on the street. So, Lieutenant Rains has us hitting the money. Sutton's PI, Webb, he's not just a surveillance guy. He's a forensic accountant. He's been digging. Digging for what? A needle in a haystack? A $75,000 needle, Hollis said. Webb heard the amount on the full audio. 75 now, 75 on completion. We've been looking for that first payment. An hour later, Sutton herself knocked on the hotel room door. Officer Velez let her in. She was holding a stack of papers, and she was not smiling. Webb found it, she said. No preamble. A cash withdrawal. $75,000 in $100 bills. Made 3 days before Devlin met Cale at the marina. My heart hammered. That's it. That's the proof. It's from an account you didn't know about. Sutton continued, her face tight. A family management LLC. Of course, I sighed. Another shell company. Not just a shell company, Sutton said, placing a document on the small hotel desk. It was a bank signature card. It's a joint account. He needed a co-signer. I stared at the paper, at the 2 signatures. Devlin's a sharp, arrogant slash, and beneath it, a looping, familiar script. Dara Mendoza. Dara? I whispered. My stomach felt like it was full of wet cement. No, that's not possible. Dara was Devlin's sister. But she was the nice one. The one who had pulled me aside at barbecues and apologized for his behavior. The one who'd texted me, hang in there, when I first filed for divorce. I had trusted her. I thought she was a neutral party, maybe even secretly on my side. She knew, I said, the words tasting like ash. She knew, and she helped him. She paid for the man who was going to cut my brake lines. We don't know what she knew, Sutton said gently. But Hollis and Rains are bringing her in right now. They just sent a car for her. The next 4 hours were the longest of my life. I paced the 15-foot length of the hotel room. I pictured Dara's smiling face, her easy laugh. The betrayal was a different kind of wound, deeper and colder than Devlin's open hatred. Finally, Hollis returned. He looked exhausted, but he wasn't defeated. She broke, he said. Completely. He sat down on the edge of the other hotel bed. She's not a monster, Alara. She's a fool, but not a monster. Devlin played her too. What did she say? I asked. My arms crossed tight against my chest. Devlin told her exactly what she'd expect to hear. That you were taking him to the cleaners. That Sutton was a shark. He said he needed to hide $150,000 from the asset declaration, and he needed her name on an account to do it. He told her the $75,000 withdrawal was to pay a financial consultant in cash to restructure his investments offshore. And she believed him, I said. She wanted to believe him. It's her brother. She signed. She didn't ask questions. So she's not an accomplice, I said, deflation hitting me. She's just another one of his victims. She was, Hollis said, leaning forward. Until 3 days ago. After Cale's surveillance was blown, he didn't just text Devlin. Devlin, it turns out, used his sister as a complete firewall. He never gave Cale his own number. My mind raced. He gave him Dara's number? Bingo, Hollis said. Cale called Dara directly. She got a call from a blocked number. A cold voice on the other end. He said, complications. The job is on hold. And then he asked her when the second payment of $75,000 would be ready. Dara panicked. She thought it was the financial consultant. She called Devlin, furious, asking why his consultant was threatening her. Devlin told her to calm down and handle it, that it was just business. Hollis continued, she didn't put it together. Not until Lieutenant Rains laid out the photos of Bryony Alston's car and Reed Coleman's autopsy report on the interrogation room table. Until we told her what remove obstacles really meant. She didn't know she was financing a murder, Hollis said. She just thought she was helping her brother hide money. When she realized she was an accessory to conspiracy, she collapsed. She knows she's facing 20 years. She's terrified. So what now? I asked. Now, Hollis said, a grim smile touching his lips. She's our helper. She's agreed to cooperate fully, testify to everything, and more importantly, she's willing to make a call. Suddenly, the fractured pieces of the case slammed together. Cale is gone, I said, the plan forming in my mind. But he still owed $75,000. And Dara is the one who holds the purse strings, Hollis finished. We can't get Kyle, but maybe she can. The plan was simple, and it was the most terrifying thing I had ever agreed to. I was the bait. He'll come, I told Hollis, my voice a low, hard thing I didn't recognize. If he thinks I'm broken, if he thinks he's won, he won't be able to resist seeing it. Lieutenant Rains set the stage. The cafe was called The Daily Grind, a glass and steel box downtown, busy with lots of exits and reflective surfaces. Perfect for surveillance, Jasper was safe. He was in a different hotel, a safe house, with Officer Velez and a child specialist watching movies. He just thought he was on a special vacation. I stood in my hotel room as a tech officer, a young woman who looked barely 20, taped the wire to my chest. It felt cold against my skin. It's high fidelity, she said quietly. It'll pick up a whisper as long as he's across the table. Just stay calm. Don't touch it. He'll be wearing a wire too, Hollis said, handing me my purse. Not police. He'll be recording you for his own records. To gloat, to hold over you. Count on it. I took a shaky breath. Okay, it was time to make the call. I dialed Devlin's number, the one I knew by heart, the one I'd come to dread. Hollis was on the line listening. It rang 3 times. Ilara, he answered. Not surprised, just cold. Devlin, I said, pitching my voice to tremble. I let the tears I'd been holding back finally come. Devlin, I can't do this anymore. You win. A long, satisfied silence on the other end. Go on, he said. I'll sign, I choked out, a real sob catching in my throat. I'll sign the papers. You can have full custody. I'll take supervised visitation. Whatever you want. Another beat of silence. He was savoring it. But you have to call it off, I whispered, the words desperate. Please, Devlin. I'm so scared. Just tell him to stop. Please. Wise decision, Ilara, he said, his voice suddenly smooth, magnanimous. It's a shame you had to make it so complicated. I'm at the club. Meet me at the Daily Grind in 1 hour. Bring your own pen, he hung up. Hollis gave me a grim nod. Showtime. The cafe was a blur. Lieutenant Rains had 14 officers inside. The barista with the neck tattoo. The 2 businessmen arguing over a laptop. The young couple in the corner holding hands. All cops. I sat in a booth by the window, my hands shaking so badly I had to hide them under the table. At 3:15 p.m., he walked in. Devlin looked perfect. Pressed suit, expensive watch, a small, triumphant smirk on his face. He looked like a man who had just closed a multi-million-dollar deal. He slid into the booth opposite me. You look terrible, Ilara, he said, signaling the waitress, one of Rains's officers, for an espresso. I'll sign, I said, my voice breaking. Just please call it off. Tell him to stop. Devlin leaned back, lacing his fingers over his chest. He was enjoying this. The power. My fear. Ilara, he said, like he was scolding a child. You don't call off a business transaction. The deposit was non-refundable. My blood ran cold. The wire was hot. I just had to keep him talking. What does that mean? He leaned in, his voice dropping, but the arrogance was still there, thick and sharp. It means you made this necessary, he hissed. You chose to be an obstacle. And obstacles get removed. That's not my fault. That's just how the world works. You paid someone, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. I paid for a solution, he interrupted, his eyes glittering. And solutions don't come with refund policies. You should have just signed when I asked nicely. It was clean. It was a confession. Before I could even blink, the arguing businessmen were on their feet. The barista vaulted the counter. Police! Don't move! Devlin's face was a mask of pure, unadulterated shock. His head whipped back to me, his eyes wide with betrayal. Ilara! He shouted. Hollis was the one who pulled him from the booth, cuffing his hands behind his back. Devlin Mendoza, you are under arrest for the solicitation and conspiracy to commit murder. As they dragged him out, his smugness was gone, replaced by a dark, terrifying rage. You're dead! He screamed at me. You hear me? You're dead! The cafe was chaos. I was shaking, unable to stand. Rains was at my side, her hand on my shoulder. "He can't hurt you," she said. "He's done." "But we're not. We have to get Cale." We were in a surveillance van 2 blocks away by 3:45 p.m. Dara, Devlin's sister, was in the back, her face ghost white. Trembling. "You can do this, Dara," Hollis said, his voice surprisingly gentle. "You know what he'll do to you if Cale walks. This is your only way out." She nodded, tears in her eyes. Rains handed her the burner phone. She dialed. He's not picking up," she stammered. "Call again," Rains ordered. She did. This time he answered. "What?" A cold voice barked. It's Dara, Devlin's sister. "I know who you are." "What?" Devlin was just arrested. Dara cried, and the panic in her voice was 100% real. "The police, they're here. They're going to freeze everything. All his accounts." A pause. So I have your money," she improvised, her voice rising. "The other 75,000. I took it out last week, just in case. It's in my car. I have to give it to you now, before they come for me." A long, agonizing silence. Kyle was thinking. He was desperate for his money and he needed to flee. "Where?" he finally said. The First National Bank parking lot on 5th. "I'm heading there now. Please, just take it. Be there in 30 minutes. Come alone." He hung up. Rains was already on the radio. "He's en route. All teams, tactical is a go. Move, move, move." At 4:30 p.m., we were watching a drone feed. The bank parking lot. Dara's car was parked in the center. A gray utility van, the same one from my house, pulled in. Kyle got out. He was just a man. Calm, gray, invisible. He walked toward Dara's car. He never made it. From 3 directions, black tactical vans converged. 6 officers in full gear were on him before he could even turn. He was on the ground, cuffed, in less than 3 seconds. "He's secure," the radio crackled. "We're searching the vehicle." Hollis looked at me, a deep, exhausted breath leaving his chest. "It's over, Alara. It's really over." The radio crackled one more time. "Lieutenant, we've got a kit in the van, crowbar, gloves, and a set of high-torque shears. Same kind used to cut brake lines. 14 months. That's how long it took for the legal system to finally catch up. 14 months of depositions, hearings, and lawyers trying to find loopholes where there were none. 14 months of living in a new, unlisted apartment across town, of Jasper starting at a new school under a slightly different name, of me jumping every time I heard a utility van rumble down the street. I was in therapy. Jasper was in therapy. The scars weren't going away, but we were learning to live with them. Cale's trial came first. The DA wanted him off the board, fast. His defense was non-existent. He just sat there, this perfectly average gray man staring at the wall like he was bored. He looked like he was waiting for a bus, not on trial for multiple murders. The evidence was overwhelming. The surveillance footage from my house, the high-torque shears and brake-tampering kit found in his van, the PI's audio, which established his connection to Devlin. But the real weight came from the past. The DA, in a brilliant move, linked the 3 cases. Bryony Alston, Reed Coleman, and me. The MO was identical. The delivery driver who saw the calm utility worker near Bryony's house testified. The homeless man who saw the same calm man in Reed's parking garage testified, and Dara, Devlin's sister, took the stand. She looked small, broken, and terrified. She detailed the phone calls, the cold voice, the demand for the second payment. The jury took 6 hours. Guilty. On all counts. The judge, a woman who looked like she'd seen everything, looked at Cale with pure contempt. She called him a cancer on society, profiting from human misery. She sentenced him to life without the possibility of parole for the murder of Bryony Alston, a second life sentence for the murder of Reed Coleman, and a consecutive 40-year sentence for the conspiracy to murder me. He just nodded, like she'd told him the time, and they took him away. Devlin's trial was 3 months later. It was a circus. He had a new team of 2,000 an hour lawyers. Their defense was exactly what you'd expect from an arrogant narcissist: entrapment. They tried to paint me as a hysterical, vindictive wife. They claimed I was unstable. They claimed I'd set him up. His head lawyer, a man with a shark's smile, actually argued that the solution Devlin paid for was just a private investigator to find me and Jasper after I fled. I had to take the stand. His lawyer tried to twist my words, to make me sound crazy. You were hiding your son, weren't you, Alara? I was in protective custody, I said, my voice shaking. Because your client hired a man to murder me. But the DA's entire case rested on one simple thing: the cafe recording. He stood in the middle of the courtroom and hit play. The entire room went silent, my voice trembling. Please, call it off. Tell him to stop. And then Devlin's, clear as a bell, arrogant, cold, and victorious. Alara, you don't call off a business transaction. The deposit was non-refundable. The DA let the silence hang, then played the next part. My voice. You paid someone. Devlin's. I paid for a solution. And solutions don't come with refund policies. You chose to be an obstacle. And obstacles get removed. I watched the jury. One woman, a grandmotherly type, put her hand over her mouth. A man in the front row, a construction worker, just shook his head, looking at Devlin with pure disgust. His lawyers had nothing. The entrapment claim evaporated. How can you be entrapped into saying something you already believe? The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. Guilty. Solicitation of murder. Conspiracy to commit murder. Devlin didn't rage this time. He just deflated. As the verdict was read, he seemed to shrink inside his expensive suit. He finally understood. He'd lost. The judge sentenced him to 50 years in state prison. He was 48 years old. It was a life sentence. Dara's trial was last. It was a simple plea deal. For her full cooperation and her testimony against both men, which was critical, the DA was lenient. She pled guilty to accessory after the fact to conspiracy and money laundering. The judge gave her 3 years, suspended down to 18 months served in a county facility, plus 5 years of probation. She lost her reputation, her money, and her brother. The criminal trials were over. But I wasn't finished. The family court, in light of the convictions, was a 5-minute formality. I was granted full, sole, permanent custody of Jasper. A lifetime restraining order was placed on Devlin. Then, Sutton filed the civil suit. Devlin's assets directly related to the crime were seized. But that wasn't enough. We filed a $15 million wrongful death action for attempted murder. We won. The judgment forced the liquidation of everything he had left. His condos, his stocks, his marina slip. It was never about the money. Most of that $15 million was divided, with large portions going directly to the families of Bryony Alston and Reed Coleman. It was about making sure he had nothing left. No power, no influence, no resources. It was about burning his life to the ground, just like he had promised to do to me. It's been 4 years. We don't live in that city anymore. We moved about 800 miles away to a new state where no one knows our history. Jasper is 10 now. He's tall for his age, and smart. He's obsessed with building complex things on his computer. He plays soccer on the weekends. He's a happy kid. Most days, I almost believe that 100%. He's in therapy. I'm in therapy. The specialists call it post-traumatic growth. I just call it surviving. I took the money from the civil judgment, the part that wasn't given to Bryony Alston and Reed Coleman's families. I started something new. It's a small nonprofit, just a few employees. I call it the Obstacle Fund. We provide emergency legal aid, digital security consulting, and private security grants for parents who are trying to escape violent domestic situations. We help them build their case before it gets to the kale stage. We help them become immovable. I'm safe. I know I am. But I'm not the same person who took her son to the park that Tuesday. That woman was softer, more trusting. I'm not like that anymore. I still check the locks on my doors twice before I go to bed. I still save every single voicemail I receive, even the spam ones about my car's warranty. A little part of my brain just always needs a record, just in case. I've tried to teach Jasper about awareness, not fear. I've taught him to trust his gut. If a person feels wrong, it's because they are wrong. Sutton is on the board of the Obstacle Fund. She flies in 3 times a year for our meetings. She's Jasper's godmother now. He adores her. As for the others, Dara served her 18 months. She lives somewhere in the Midwest, working a minimum wage job. She lost her professional license. She sends me a letter, once a year, always on the anniversary of Devlin's sentencing. I've never opened a single one. They just sit in a box at the back of my closet. Devlin and Kale are in separate Supermax prisons. They will both die there. Devlin, I'm told, filed 17 different appeals in the first 2 years. All were denied. He has no money, no power, and no visitors. He's just a number in a box for the rest of his life. He's an obstacle, permanently removed. I sometimes think about that first voicemail from Sutton, the one that cracked my entire world open. Don't go home. I realized after all this time that I could never go home. Not really. That house, that life, that version of me. It was all just a fragile illusion, one that Devlin was happy to burn to the ground the second I stepped out of line. He called me an obstacle. And he was right. I was the only thing standing between him and what he wanted. An obstacle is just a problem to be solved. Something to be broken or moved or, in his case, removed. I had to stop being an obstacle. I had to become a fortress.